There comes a time in every woman's life when silence becomes sweeter than applause, when being needed no longer feels like an honor, but like a weight. When you no longer ask, "What do they expect of me?" and instead begin to ask, "What do I expect of myself?" You've spent decades giving your time, your patience, your presence. You poured yourself into your children, your parents, your marriage, your community. And now, finally, life has slowed just enough to give you space. But here's the hard truth. Not everyone around you will honor that space. Not everyone will understand your need for peace. Some will push, some will pull. Some will keep taking, long after you've stopped offering. And some of them might even be family. This stage of life is supposed to be your sanctuary, a time for gentleness, for clarity, for reclaiming the pieces of yourself that got buried under duty and expectations. But peace isn't something that simply arrives, it must be protected. And one of the most powerful ways to protect it is to be intentional about who you allow into your life. Because some people aren't just exhausting, they're destructive. They chip away at your spirit, not with cruelty, but with small, constant demands, with emotional noise, with drama, with guilt. So in this video, we're going to talk about 12 kinds of people you must learn to distance yourself from, gently, firmly, and without guilt. They may smile, they may be sweet, they may be blood. But if they cost you your peace, your energy, or your sense of self, it's okay to walk away. This isn't about resentment, it's about release. This isn't about punishment, it's about preservation. You've earned this peace. Now let's protect it. She always knows what to say. Her voice is soft, her words careful. I hate to bother you, but I just didn't know who else to call. I thought, since you're always so good at helping. And before you even realize it, your day, your time, your energy, it's already not your own. The manipulator doesn't shout, she doesn't threaten. She doesn't storm into your life like a hurricane. She drips in quietly, drop by drop, with guilt, with flattery, with carefully packaged emotional need. At first you feel useful, needed, valued. After all, you've spent most of your life being the strong one, the reliable one, the helper. But then the favors start to pile up. The requests never stop. And the moment you try to take a step back, suddenly you're the selfish one, the cold one, the one who changed. This is the power of the manipulator. She doesn't take your peace by force. She convinces you to give it away. And she knows exactly which buttons to push. Maybe she's a daughter who calls only when she needs something, a niece who cries about her latest financial disaster, a friend who vanishes until she needs a ride, a loan, or a listener. Each time she tugs at your heart with just enough sincerity to make you say yes. And each time you walk away a little more tired, a little more used, a little more empty. But here's what no one tells you. You can be kind and still say no. You can love someone deeply and still refuse to let them drain you. Your time is sacred, your energy is limited, and your peace is too precious to spend on people who see your compassion as a resource to exploit. So how do you break the cycle? You start by noticing the pattern. Who calls only when they want something? Who disappears when you need them? Who leaves you feeling heavy after every interaction? Then you set a simple boundary, a quiet but firm. I'm not able to help this time. You don't need to defend it. You don't need to explain. That one sentence is enough to reclaim your space. And if they try to guilt you, remember, love without respect is manipulation. Support without limits is servitude. You are not selfish for setting boundaries. You are sovereign. The right people won't leave you for saying no. They'll thank you for being honest. Let the manipulator find another well to draw from. Yours is no longer open for misuse. You sit down at the table, heart full of something you want to share. Maybe it's a story from your youth. Maybe it's a quiet worry you've carried alone. Maybe it's simply your need to be heard, without judgment, without interruption. But you never get to finish. Because the narcissist is already talking, already performing, already steering the conversation toward their latest accomplishment, crisis, or complaint. And your words? They vanish in the noise. The narcissist doesn't steal your time. They steal your spotlight, your place in the conversation, your right to be witnessed. They may be a grown child, a cousin, an old friend, someone who's convinced that every moment should be about them, that your purpose in their life is to listen, applaud, affirm. And maybe for years you did just that. You smiled, nodded, clapped when appropriate. You tucked your thoughts back inside and let them have the stage. But here's the truth you've been too polite to say. You are not a supporting character in someone else's story. You are the author of your own. And you've lived a life filled with moments worth telling. You've raised families, survived grief, built wisdom out of hardship. You carry stories no one else can tell. And you deserve to be heard. Narcissists rarely listen unless it benefits them. They use conversation as a mirror, not to see you, but to admire themselves. And over time, their presence begins to shrink your voice. Until you start to believe what they've never said aloud, that your experiences aren't important, that your feelings are optional. But here's what I want you to remember. Your voice still matters. Your words still matter. You still matter. It's okay to interrupt the interrupter, to gently say, "I'd like to finish what I was saying." Or, "That's important, but I'd like a moment to share something too." It might feel awkward. They may frown, pull back, act wounded. Let them. That discomfort is not your responsibility. Reclaiming space isn't rude. It's necessary. And if they refuse to make room for you, if every interaction feels like a one-person show, step off their stage. Let them perform for someone else. You've earned conversations that feel like connection, not competition. In this chapter of your life, you don't need to be applauded. You just need to be heard. They rarely raise their voice. They don't yell. They don't insult you outright. No, the critic is quieter than that. Subtle, polite, always with a smile. But their words, they land like a pin in a balloon, quick, small, and deflating. That color's a bit bold for your age, don't you think? I wouldn't be spending money on that at this point in life. Are you sure that's a good idea? And suddenly, the joy you felt dulls. At first, you might not notice the pattern. It's just a comment here, a question there, always wrapped in concern, always posed as advice. But over time, the critic's voice begins to echo, not just in your ears, but in your thoughts. You stand in front of the mirror and second-guess your outfit. You hesitate before speaking up in a group. You start shrinking, not because anyone asked you to, but because someone convinced you you're too much. The critic is often someone close, a sister, a longtime friend, sometimes even a spouse. They're the ones who never quite celebrate your wins, who always find the flaw, who offer corrections when you didn't ask for them. And the most painful part? You start believing them. But here's the truth that sets you free. Their judgment is not your truth. Their opinion is not your compass. Their tone is not your measure of worth. You've lived through things they know nothing about. You've faced days they couldn't have handled. You carry stories and strength they've never seen. And you don't need to dress it up, defend it, or dilute it. You are allowed to feel proud, to speak freely, to live boldly, even if it makes them uncomfortable. So when the critic speaks again, you have choices. You can respond directly, "I'm happy with how I'm doing things." Or you can let their words fall flat, like a stone that doesn't deserve a ripple. Not every comment deserves your attention. Not every opinion needs a seat at your table. You've earned the right to enjoy your life without second-guessing it. Surround yourself with people who cheer when you walk into the room, not those who scan you for flaws. You're not here to be corrected. You are here to be celebrated. Let the critics keep their standards. You? Keep your joy. There's always a fire, always some drama, some mess, some urgent need they didn't see coming, but somehow expect you to solve. They show up in your life not quietly, but like a sudden gust of wind, loud, chaotic, and full of urgency. And you? You've always been the fixer. You help. You rearrange your plans. You write the check. You clean up the fallout. Again, and again, and again. The irresponsible person rarely learns, because they never have to. Someone is always there to catch them, and more often than not, that someone is you. It might be a grown child who still can't hold down a job, a younger sibling who makes impulsive decisions, then calls you to sort them out, or even a friend who uses your stability to cushion their recklessness. They live like everything's temporary, but expect you to offer permanent solutions. They call it love. They call it trust. But what it really is transfer. They transfer the consequences of their actions onto your shoulders. And for a while, maybe that felt like your duty. Maybe it even gave you purpose. But here's the truth. Someone else's chaos is not your calling. You are not here to be the safety net for every fall. You are not here to pay for lessons they refuse to learn. Being compassionate doesn't mean being consumed. Being loyal doesn't mean being leveraged. And being generous should never require you to go broke, emotionally, financially, or spiritually. So how do you handle the fire starter? You let them stand in the ashes of their own choices, with love, with calm, but with boundaries. You can say, I care about you, but I can't keep stepping in. It's time you figured this out yourself. That one sentence might change the dynamic forever, or it might make them angry. Let them be. Their reaction isn't your responsibility. Your peace is. And here's the powerful part. When you stop rescuing people who never change, you give yourself permission to grow, to rest, to heal. Your golden years are not the second shift of everyone else's emergency. You've done your share, now let them do theirs. You didn't expect a parade, you didn't need a trophy, but you did hope, just once, to hear, "Thank you, I see you." What you did mattered because you gave everything. Meals made with aching hands, money you didn't really have, late-night phone calls you answered with tired eyes and an open heart. You rearranged your life for others. You made their comfort a priority. And yet, when the moment came for recognition, for even a trace of appreciation, there was silence. Ungrateful people don't always mean to hurt you, but they do, with their entitlement, with their forgetfulness, with the casual way they accept your kindness like it's owed. You make the effort and they barely notice. You offer your presence and they act as if it's nothing special. You sacrifice, and they never stop to wonder what it cost you. It's not the lack of thanks that stings the most, it's the message beneath it. You don't matter as much as what you do for me. But here's what I want you to remember. Your value is not measured by someone else's gratitude. Just because they can't see your light doesn't mean it's dim. Just because they forget to say thank you doesn't mean you aren't remarkable. Still, it's okay to feel the sting, to grieve the lack of acknowledgement, to admit, I wish they saw me. And it's more than okay to make a change. You don't have to keep giving where you are not appreciated. You don't have to keep offering your time, your love, your energy to people who take and never give back. Start small. Say no when it feels one-sided. Give less where gratitude is absent. Invest more in the people who smile when you walk into the room. And if those people feel few and far between, find them. They exist. In book clubs, at churches, in support groups, in quiet corners of the world where kindness is still recognized and honored. You are not asking for too much. You are asking for something essential: mutual respect. Let the ungrateful learn to live without your constant giving. Let them grow in the absence of your effort. You've done enough, more than enough. And now it's time to protect your heart from going unseen, because your kindness is a gift, not a transaction. They don't yell, they don't demand, they don't ask for much, at least not directly. But after every phone call, every visit, every coffee chat, you're tired. Not the kind of tired that a nap can fix, but the kind that leaves your chest heavy and your spirit flat. That's the energy vampire. They don't come in chaos. They come in conversation. They start with a sigh, then a complaint, then a list of everything wrong in their life. Again, you try to listen. You offer encouragement. You gently redirect toward the positive. But they don't want light. They want company in the dark. They recycle the same problems, the same blame, the same helplessness. And the more you give, the worse you feel. You hang up the phone and wonder why you feel more anxious. You leave the visit wondering if anything you said even mattered, because it's never enough. No solution is good enough. No silver lining is welcome. And after a while, you realize something painful. They don't actually want help. They want a host. They want someone to absorb their negativity, to validate their frustration, to let them unload and walk away lighter while you carry the weight. But here's the truth. You are not a dumping ground for other people's emotional garbage. You're not rude for being exhausted. You're not selfish for needing space. You're simply human, and your emotional energy, especially now, is not infinite. So how do you protect yourself? Set limits, time limits, topic limits, energetic boundaries that say, I care about you, but I can't keep having this same conversation. Or, I'm here for support, but I also need space for myself. You don't have to ghost them. You don't have to make a scene. You just need to protect your peace like the precious thing it is. And here's something else to remember. You deserve conversations that fill you up, that make you laugh, that inspire and uplift. There are people out there who will leave you feeling better, not worse, and those are the voices you want near in this stage of life. Let the energy vampires drift into silence, and in that quiet, listen for the voices that restore you, because you've carried enough heaviness. Now it's time for light. You see their name pop up on your phone, and your stomach tightens. You already know. It's never just a quick call, it's never good news. It's always something. A crisis, a betrayal, a misunderstanding, an emergency that only you seem calm enough to handle. The drama magnet doesn't live in peace. They live in reaction. And if you're not careful, you become part of the script. One day it's their neighbor, the next, their boss, then their daughter-in-law or their ex or someone else who's out to get them. Every conversation is like stepping into a whirlwind. You're just trying to hold your ground while they spin stories of outrage, conflict, chaos. And somehow it always ends the same. You listening, you worrying, you offering advice they'll never take. Because drama isn't the problem. Drama is their comfort zone. It keeps them from stillness. It fills the silence where growth should be, and it distracts them from facing their own patterns. But here's what happens to you. You absorb it. You take it on. You carry their emotional turbulence into your quiet spaces, and it leaves you feeling drained, anxious, even resentful. But you don't want to be rude. You don't want to abandon someone who's clearly upset. So you stay in the storm. And you forget you're allowed to step out of the rain. You don't have to stay on the line. You don't have to listen to every story. You don't have to play emotional first responder for someone who keeps setting fires. The next time they start with, "You'll never believe what happened now." Pause. Ask yourself, is this helping them or just exhausting me? You can say, "I hope it works out, but I don't have the space to take this on right now." You can shorten the call, delay the reply, or gently start creating distance. Because here's the truth. Calm is not boring. Calm is sacred. And in this season of your life, you've earned peace, not noise, stillness, not storms. Let the drama find another stage. You're rewriting your story, one that's quieter, richer, and finally your own. She says she's happy for you. She smiles when you share your news. She even tells others how proud she is of you, but something in her tone doesn't quite match the words. And over time, you start to feel it. That twist in the conversation. That subtle shift when it turns toward you. You mention a new class you're taking, a garden project you love, a friend who brought you flowers, and she says, "Well, I could never waste time on that," or "Must be nice to have that luxury." At first you second guess yourself. Maybe she's just tired. Maybe you misunderstood, but it keeps happening, and you realize she's not cheering for you. She's competing. The jealous one isn't always obvious. She doesn't attack you. She undermines you, quietly, consistently. She downplays your accomplishments, minimizes your efforts, treats your happiness like a threat. And because she does it in small ways, through side comments, tone shifts, or backhanded compliments, you feel like it's too petty to mention. But it's not petty. It's corrosive. Because over time, her words creep in. You start sharing less, dimming your light so she doesn't feel small, laughing off things you once felt proud of just to keep the peace. But here's the truth. Your joy is not a crime. Your growth is not arrogance. You are allowed to shine, to succeed, to celebrate without apology, and anyone who makes you feel guilty for being happy is not your friend, no matter how long you've known them, no matter how much history you share. So what do? Start by noticing how you feel after you speak with her. Do you leave feeling energized or deflated, excited, or suddenly unsure? That feeling is feedback. Then protect your space. You don't need to confront. You don't need to accuse. You simply need to stop offering pieces of your joy to someone who won't hold them gently. Celebrate with people who celebrate you, who clap without comparison, who remind you how far you've come, without turning it into a competition. Because in this season of your life, you are allowed to be proud. You are allowed to be seen. You are allowed to be fully, unapologetically happy. And anyone who can't handle that is welcome to watch from afar. She never says what she means, but you feel it. In the tone, in the pause, in the way she says something harmless that lingers in your chest long after the conversation ends. Must be nice to still wear clothes like that. I wish I had time to sit around all day too. You're so lucky you don't have to worry about the grandkids all the time. It's not what she says, it's how she says it. And that's what makes it so hard to name, so hard to push back against. The passive-aggressive person hides their hostility behind politeness, their resentment behind pleasantries, their control behind jokes, and they leave you confused. Was that meant to hurt? Was I too sensitive? Should I say something? You find yourself replaying the conversation in your head, trying to decode it, trying to explain it away, trying not to feel what you clearly felt. Because when you do confront them, if you ever try, they act wounded. I was just teasing. You're reading too much into it. You know I didn't mean anything by that. And suddenly you're the one apologizing. Here's the truth. Confusion is not connection, and kindness shouldn't sting. Relationships built on subtle jabs, emotional guessing games, or double meanings are not safe places. They are exhausting. And in this season of your life, you no longer have time for emotional chess matches. You've earned clarity, directness, people who mean what they say and say what they mean with kindness and care. So when the passive-aggressive remarks come, you don't need to argue. You don't need to convince them of what they meant. What you can do is disengage, say less, step back, let the silence speak for you. You can also respond with clarity. That felt like a dig. If there's something you want to say, please say it directly. Or, I'm not sure what you meant by that, but it didn't feel kind. They may deflect. They may deny. Let them. What matters most is you're no longer pretending it's okay. Because every time you let that sting pass without acknowledgement, a little part of you pulls back, and you deserve relationships where you can lean in without flinching. Let their sugar-coated barbs go unnoticed by someone else. You're done explaining away what you feel. You're choosing peace over pretense, directness over distortion, healing over hiding. She remembers everything you didn't do, every call you missed, every visit that didn't happen, every favor you didn't offer, even if you were sick, grieving, or simply overwhelmed. She keeps a quiet scorecard, and every conversation feels like a reminder that you're falling behind. I guess you've been too busy for us lately. Well, I'd never say no if you needed something. Other people make time for their family. She says it with a sigh, with a knowing glance, sometimes with a half smile that isn't a smile at all. And there it is again. That slow wave of guilt, that ache in your chest, that need to prove you're not a bad mother, a bad sister, a bad friend. But deep down, you know the truth. You've given, and given, and given, and the moment you draw a line, the moment you choose rest over obligation, the guilt tripper shows up with her invisible ledger asking for back pay. Here's the thing no one talks about. Guilt is not love, and being loved should not require constant repayment. You don't owe your time to anyone who keeps you close by making you feel bad. You don't owe your presence to someone who withholds affection to get what they want. That's not family. That's not loyalty. That's manipulation. So what do? You recognize the pattern. You stop explaining your choices to people who only listen to judge. And you start saying things like, I've had to prioritize my energy and I'm at peace with that. Or, if I can help, I will. If I can't, I won't carry guilt for that. These sentences might shake them. They're not used to you choosing yourself. They're used to your yes coming before your breath. Let that discomfort stand, because your worth isn't determined by how much you do for everyone else. It's measured by your wholeness, your clarity, your joy, and guilt should never be the currency of a relationship. Let the scorecard go. Let the emotional accounting end. You're not an account to be balanced. You're a human being who deserves to live without the weight of constant moral debt. You've already given enough, and now you get to give to yourself. You've said it clearly. You've said it kindly. You've said it more than once. No, I won't be able to do that. I need that day for myself. I'm not comfortable with that anymore. But somehow, it never sticks. Because the boundary breaker doesn't hear your words. They only hear their needs. They assume your no is negotiable. They treat your limits like obstacles to get around, not lines to respect. They'll say things like, but it's just this once. Don't make such a big deal out of it. You always used to do it. And the next thing you know, you're doing something you already said you wouldn't. Again. The boundary breaker doesn't scream or shove. They nudge. They plead. They guilt. And each time you bend, they learn one thing. You can be worn down. You will not make room for people who leave you empty. You are no longer here to prove your worth. You're here to protect it. And that is not selfish. It is sacred. So walk gently. Speak clearly. Say no when you need to. Say yes to what feeds your soul. You've earned this peace. Now claim it fully. This is your time. Let it be soft. Let it be strong. Let it be yours. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to share in the comments. What are you letting go of today? What type of relationship are you finally ready to release? If you found this helpful, please like, subscribe, and share with another woman who might need these reminders too. You are not alone. You are not invisible. And you are absolutely enough. Thank you for watching. Thank you for choosing your peace.